Pablo.
Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSports. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and I hope you like my new glasses. Joining me, as always, Mr. Andy Molitor. His keyboard is clean. His microphone, not so much. Andy may have kissed his microphone before the show. I didn't know
I
kissed
was
was defined enough.
testing siblets. Yeah, we're back. I'm back. I had to do a golf show yesterday. A lot of fun.
That is
Man,
fun.
what am I thinking? I didn't ever add a golf section today. I talked a big game about that Monday. I'll talk at the end. You know where it says give a thumbs up on the sidebar here? And if you're listening to this a podcast, you don't know what we're talking about, but Dan makes some nice little graphics in the side. I will talk about my golf outrights very briefly, but we'll start in the NFL and Dan had asked about this, and I'm under the assumption week 18 is the same until it's not. It's Wednesday now at this point. Teams are doing not, I mean, we're past walkthrough days. We're at full practice. Teams are preparing for the teams that are on their schedule for this weekend. I guess like that's what we're doing. So I'm not 100% sure if the league is going to move around the Bills game later on if we're going to push the playoffs back. I don't want to sit there and speculate. That's what your timeline on Twitter is for. Reading a million different.
And
Well, what
all
if
our
we did?
DM chats.
What if we did this? It's all moot until they do something. But I will say, and I mentioned this too off the air. Some people have done the legwork and proven that there is no combination of wins, losses, draws, or anything that can make the Bills and Bengals game meaningless. So I feel like they
It
have to
matters.
find a way to play that. So I would love to see the NFL just come up with something. I don't envy them, but at the same
No.
time, I hate the NFL. And I mean, like Troy Vincent carrying the water. No, we didn't say 5 minutes. Well, you didn't not say 5 minutes. So the people in the field had to do something, and I'm sure Goodell was watching Monday Night Football. So they
I
they
look
didn't
forward to some
they didn't
sort of
make the
like
call. Yeah,
I look forward to some sort of oral history or recap of what actually happened because it's hard for me to think that the two coaches of those teams actually have kind of the unilateral power to do what effectively they did. For the two of them to agree to tell everybody to get off the field, I think that really put in motion what they should have done. Obviously, it makes a
yeah.
ton of sense that they don't play that game, but I do wonder if, again, they have kind of that power to effectively end the game at that point. I can't wait to see what all the ramifications, what actually happened. That's going to be a wild,
Yeah.
10-part Netflix series in about a month.
And as Dan's pointing out, the refs are going to get thrown under the bus. I feel bad because I feel like the refs are just sitting there waiting for someone to tell them otherwise. Like their employees, they're like, well, normally after a bad injury, we take this little time. Everyone has a little bit of time to prep and we restart the game. And they're just sitting there waiting from a call from Vincent or Goodell or some league rep saying, like, please don't restart this game quite yet. We can't just go right back into football while the ambulance is still outside of the stadium. And they never got that call. So then things got set in motion. So vis-a-vis, the NFL is still to blame. I'm sure they'll screw this up somehow when we end up playing this game again. But it will
Assuming there
be
is
odd.
football this weekend.
Yeah, I'm assuming they. It would be so crazy if they just ended up canceling this week or pushing this week back this late in the game. So I think we'll have week 18 as normal as it can be. Some very important games and some very weird games. So I ended up on a teaser here, and there was a couple other You know what? The Bills are in a teaser zone too, and teasers have been better at the end of the year when lines have become more efficient, as is how long teasers work. They prey on the efficiency of the market, which is the opposite of how most betting works, but they do work better at the late in the season. Apparently, it's been going well. I am very reticent to put the Bills into a teaser, though. I don't know where their head is at. They haven't really practiced yet. It's very tough to actually even handicap or look at betting into that game. I will be betting some other ones, and the Chiefs and Browns are two that do fall into that Wong teaser zone. The Chiefs being bet down through the 3 and the 7, getting them down to -1.5 in a road game. But this is a spot where they're clearly much better. And if you want to bet the Chiefs, this might be the way because the Chiefs straight up don't cover football games. They win. They're very live for the 1 seed, but they don't seem to cover football games. I know some places have this up at like 8.5, 9. 8.5 is still a Wong teaser. You can take that. So I got this when it was 7.5 yesterday. I'm not sure if there's news that's going to keep pushing this up, but yeah. And as Patrick's saying, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Stidham won't repeat that performance. I'm with you there. So Jags are a bit of a consideration. Yes, Soccer Picks Club. That's another one. These ended up being my two favorite. I'll probably have some more. But yeah, and the Browns as well. That's just a really low total game against Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's winning games, but they're just not scoring points. Like, honestly, Cleveland might have to get to 14 to cover this. Maybe not even. Kenny Pickett's been okay. He won the game, but it's not like he had a great stat line. And it's not like the offense played incredibly well. This Chiefs defense is playing well. Excuse me, this Browns defense is playing well. And if we start to see any hope of a glimmer of some sort of connection between Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper, the Browns, way too little too late. But what we saw, in that game against a tough defense in Washington kind of has to have the Cleveland faithful hopeful for the beginning of next year, because you're finally going to get what you sold your soul for in a good quarterback. So looking for the Browns to keep it close, maybe even win this game. And that is my teaser of the week of the year. I'll have some other bets. Drew and I will do some deep diving tonight.
I like all that. I think that Cleveland leg is really, really nice. He said like low total. It's a divisional matchup, and I guess the teasers are more have better return as the year goes on because the lines are more accurate. So could
Yeah,
that
no,
be kind of the deal?
exactly. I think early in the season, if the lines are less efficient, then I mean, if the line shouldn't actually be 7.5, then the 7 and the 3 don't have the same kind of value as
Right.
if the line should be 7.5. That's what the median number actually should be. So yeah, the more efficiency I think is better for these, and I'm going to take that into account. I think my Wong teasers will be bet lighter at the beginning of the year, and I'll ramp up the units as it goes throughout the season.
Yeah, again, that makes a lot of sense because a lot of the Wong teaser math too, you're looking at closing numbers anyway, so you're seeing kind of a high efficiency, and like you said, it gets more efficient as we go through the year. And I wonder if the last week maybe might be an outlier because you have games that don't matter and some of the kind of the goofy rest spots. I guess maybe that's the only thing I
I
might make me a little
I did
hesitant, but
worry. Yeah, I did worry a little bit about that on some of these, but despite Cleveland being eliminated, it's still a game they want. There's quotes from Miles Garrett saying they want this game. They want to knock their rival out of the playoffs. And Pittsburgh's playing for something, but they're just not that good.
so we'll see. Again, fingers crossed. I think we'll have football this week. Again, send all your thoughts, prayers, positive vibes to Mr. Hamlin and his family. No news, I assume, is not bad news, and that's always good.
And I did mention this in the chat too, but they're gonna have to figure out another charity. Because I'm sure those kids are great, but they don't need
It's
five
a
million
lot of
dollars worth.
toys.
They don't need $5 million worth of toys. Yeah, we need to find out what else. What
Maybe it could be
else
like a
this?
toy endowment, and you buy toys
Yeah,
every year with the interest at
and
this
there's
point.
just $10 million worth of toys sitting in a vault somewhere. But it's it's a lot, because I think it was just for like a small, a daycare center. The original the original goal was like $2,500. So gonna have to see what else him and his family what kind of causes they were into, and start funneling some money to some other charities, because it's a shitload of money that everyone raised for that one.
Now, again, kudos to everybody. That's really great. But we move forward. The National Basketball Association. Now, Andy, there are 12 games tonight. I guess you can already see the board, but why don't we pretend you can't? Well, how many bets do I have in 12 games?
Oh, like 7? No, one. I
Three.
did it wrong.
Three. You were close. Three. Seven
Yeah.
was your second guess was better, but yeah, just three looks tonight in the association. Man, I feel lucky. Last night was great. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander goes from not on the injury report at all to announced out about an hour or so before the game. And who cares? The Celtics are just clearly not as good as the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder put up 150 points. I assure you that was not what I expected, but it's always better to be lucky than good, Andy.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody just belly aching about SGA, and then best Thunder game in 2 years. Longer?
It has to be. I can't think of
Yeah.
a win that could ever. I can't. I'm not sure they've ever scored 150 points. I haven't looked it up, but that's got to be the most points the Thunder have ever scored.
Yeah.
I love it.
It
Yes,
looks yeah.
Patrick.
I'm looking back as the Supersonics. They did outscore this, but 150 is the most since they've been in
The
the what
city
do
of
you call it?
Oklahoma.
The city of Oklahoma City. They did get to 149 previously, but that took two overtimes. This is regulation, folks. So a lot of these other games where they scored a buck 50. I mean, the record is 154. That was five overtimes. Little different. This is just an absolute drubbing.
That's what we like. Again, should have sprinkled the money line, but I digress. Let's talk into actual basketball that's happening today. A spread, a team total, and a total. We'll start with our Orlando Magic. We bet the Thunder last night. We're going against them tonight. A very strange back-to-back spot. The Thunder, again, off that huge performance last night, have to fly to Orlando to play tonight, and then they come back home to play another game on Thursday. These have been really tough spots for team. Again, not only the back-to-back home and then road, but again, not even staying on the road. The home road and kind of coming back have been really funky for these teams. Maybe Shea Gilgeous-Alexander plays, maybe he doesn't. Again, if he was too sick to play last night, it's hard for me to think he'll be that much better today. I just really like this Magic team. Whether Shea Gilgeous-Alexander plays or not, I like this number. With Shea in, I have the Magic about 3.5 point favorites. With him out, it looks much better for Orlando here. So the Magic, again, maybe missing a few pieces still without Jalen Suggs. Not sure Wendell Carter Jr. is back yet. But again, when they have point guards, when they have Paolo Banchero, it's a great team. So really like the Magic here, -2. Next up, the Spurs team total under 108.5. The Spurs here, big underdogs. The Knicks 9.5 point favorites at home. And the Knicks have been one of those teams, in general, blowouts are good for overs. When teams win by a ton, these games get really out of control kind of in the second half, but not Knicks games. When the Knicks really beat up on some of these bad teams and put somebody away by 15, 20 points, they generally do it through defense. Had the Spurs here closer to 106 myself, make some tweaks again, looking at kind of the way the Knicks have played some of these teams at home. I think there's some great value here on the Spurs team total under 108.5. And then the Nets Bulls under, again, I know that Nets totals were a little bit rough, but they've been better this year, and overs were hot, but that has cooled out. If you look through like the last 3-4 days, pretty much even footing. The peak in shooting percentage for the league, the peak in offensive efficiency that we saw has kind of started to teeter back down towards season averages. So don't be afraid of betting unders. Again, they can be still tough, especially on a Nets team that can put up a lot of points. But these two teams generally play each other pretty tough. The pace of this game I expect to be very slow. And the Nets, again, have been a much better defensive team than I think people have realized. They've really done a good job against some of these teams that don't have enough dynamic scorers or shooting. And the Bulls don't really want to shoot three-pointers. Zach LaVine has been good, but I think still not right there. I had this total myself closer to 230, 231. So I'm going to take under 236 or lower. So give me the Magic -2, Spurs team total under 108.5, and the Nets Bulls under 236.
Bulls. I'll bet the Magic. Drew just posted his fatigue thing. I'm looking. Sacramento's the beam. The beam is tired tonight. Did you see that?
It's an awful
CJ's,
spot for Sacramento.
Yeah, maybe I'm adding to my NBA card. Who knows? I don't usually do that. I don't.
Yeah, but then you'd have to bet on the Hawks. Although I like it's Dan's revenge prop angle there is interesting. Herder definitely could want to play well against his own team. I'm not sure if he played in their last game, so it could be up tonight. I'm not. I think Herder revenge game.
A little bit of a revenge game. And you know what is a revenge game? East Carolina. God, they hate UCF. I don't know that for a fact. I just wanted to segue to college basketball where I'm betting on the Pirates of Greenville. This is a team. Not again. Hey, this comes with the territory. Not a great team. Not a great team. Middle of the pack team.
We only bet on bad teams.
Yeah, they are 10-5. The thing is that UCF is kind of a good team, but this is a bad team that plays pretty decent defense, especially for the league. Their offense isn't great. They haven't been the best of offenses, but they get to the line a ton and they get a ton of offensive rebounds. So extra chances against a team that hasn't been good at keeping people from getting offensive rebounds. I don't know if maybe I should look at the heights of these front courts and see if we just don't have the right big guys. to take care of business. But so far, UCF is that's been a weakness compared to a strength for East Carolina. So looking for the Pirates to get a ton of extra possessions, and they're getting a fair amount of points in this one. This is something that I would make. I'd have to look much less than 6. I think I have this at 3.5 or 4. I'm usually off by a few points on some of these, and I don't care. You can say you're off by too much, and I don't give a bleep. That's where I have the number. So I think this is a closer game, despite, and it is a home game for East Carolina. So taking a home dog here, and then in the other one up in the Missouri Valley Conference, the Racers. Yeah, we're going through it. We're going through a little stretch here where I know all the mascots. This is going to be easy for me. So the Racers, another team that's, again, middle of the pack, playing a better team in the Bradley Braves. But we are in conference play now where things get a little tighter. The Braves turn the ball over a S-load. I think they're about 300th in the country as far as taking care of the ball. That's not going to get you. That's not going to get you places. It's a good team. The defense is very good. Honestly, they're able to limit teams. They beat Illinois. Illinois Chicago's a bad team. They held them to 45 points. They held Merrimack to 41. They can absolutely stifle some of these teams. I think we end up seeing Murray State get into the 60s here, keeping this close. This is another one where I think these teams should be a little closer, and this is another one, a home dog for me. They're a team that gets to the line plenty. They're a team that can't shoot a 3, but otherwise their offense isn't horrid. So Murray State getting the 5 at home, and in a horribly dry county. Murray State isn't a dry county? I didn't know that was a thing anymore. It's like Dukes of Hazzard stuff. Like you got to cross the county line.
Oh God, I didn't read that the right way the first time, but I was a little distracted because Andy, I did give away your college basketball betting system yesterday. I don't know if you heard the show. Basically, bad teams with funny names, take them all the time. I'm pretty sure it's that simple.
Murray's not a funny name unless you're talking about like Brian Doyle Murray. Or his brother Bill.
Funny name. Yeah, East Carolina's not very funny either.
I know, but they're the Pirates.
That is fun.
I mean, I guess it's a coastal area, but I don't know. You don't hear about the Pirates of the Carolinas. There's not a ride at Disney called the Pirates of the Carolinas, guys. So I don't know. Either way, let's head to real pirate country. Why would I list Brian Doyle before Bill? Brian Doyle's hilarious. WTA. I'm going to check. Is there just one sheet of these today?
Just one sheet today. We got 4 picks.
Stomp all over it.
Oh, and you'll be just fine. We're still down under. Tennis is chugging along. Got our big underdog last night. Marta Kostyuk took care of business against Elena Rybakina. That was lovely because our other play blew a 5-0 lead in a tiebreaker and just quit on us and didn't have the politeness to actually just quit the match so we could void our bets. But I digress. 4 picks, a couple tonight, and 1 actually will be tomorrow. We'll start in Adelaide. Mentioned this one yesterday. Zheng Qinyan. Queen Zhang, as you may remember her from last year, one of our favorite players. You get a chance to bet on her again this week. She does play tonight, and this number has moved a little bit on us. It was minus 130 yesterday. I'm actually looking at minus 155, which is pretty close to my number of minus 160. Pay attention if you didn't grab it yesterday. If it does bounce back to the minus 140, even minus 145 range, honestly, go ahead and scoop some money line there. I avoid the spread. She generally plays very tight matches, a lot of 3-setters, a lot of overs, but should be able to take care of Victoria Azarenka, who, as I mentioned yesterday, just not the same player as she is known for being. The former Grand Slam champion, nowhere near that quality of player. Zhang, one of my absolute favorite young players, as I'm sure you guys know by now. So happy to take her. Put minus 140 up here, but even minus 145 is okay. And then my favorite player, Arena, the Amazonian warrior princess, Sabalenka, a short favorite here against Marketa Vondrousova. Sabalenka had a great comeback win against Ludmila Samsonova, the favorite to win this tournament yesterday. Vondrousova, French Open, second place finish, a really good player on clay and some of these slower hard courts, but that's what we have here. We have pretty quick hard court. I think the market's just overrating kind of the last month where she's been great. I think she's won, 10, 11 matches on hard courts, only lost 1 or 2, but not one single marquee win in that run. Beating some okay players, but no one, really that I respect, not even close to the level of Sabalenka, who, again, is one of the 10 best players in the WTA here. So this will be by far the most difficult opponent Vondrousova has played during this big run. And I'm happy to take Sabalenka. She's comfortable down here, loves these fast courts, it allows her to quicken points and really take advantage of her power and her comfort at net. So give me Sabalenka here, minus 125 or better. And then in New Zealand, two underdogs. Both of these will be tonight. By the way, Sabalenka will be tomorrow. So Zheng tonight, Sabalenka tomorrow. And in Auckland tonight, Kuzmova and Bonaventure. Victoria Kuzmova, a very solid player, had a really tough year last year, but has spent the last couple months working herself back into some form. Picked up an injury about 2 weeks or so ago, but has clearly shaken that off as she's able to qualify with this tournament. I don't think she's dropped a set here yet, honestly. Goes up against Emma Raducanu, who's a very solid player, but someone that generally hasn't done as well down under, doesn't have quite the experience here. I have this match much closer. Emma here is a minus 220, 225 favorite. Kuzmova, I think anything plus 170 or better looks good. I had this closer to plus 150 on Kuzmova. So happy to take the qualifying underdog as she continues to kind of have a nice streak here at this event. And then another underdog, and this is, again, an outright bet we had. I'm happy to double down. Yasmin Bonaventure goes up against Rebecca Marino, and when you look at both last year, you can see maybe in the season total stats why Marino might be a short favorite. But as you kind of hone in on that, the level of competition is pretty much the same. The hold serve is the same, but Bonaventure doing a better job. And a metric I call average game spread, basically, where instead of looking at a whole break, I'm trying to figure out on average how many games you're beating or losing to opponents by. And Bonaventure has some really nice numbers in that, especially the last couple months as she's worked her way back into injury, has done really well at some low-level tournaments. And again, has blown through qualifying, looked great in her first match here, and have this match pretty close to a pick 'em, honestly. So Bonaventure plus 120, plus 130. There's a plus 140 out there right now. It all sounds good to me. So two short favorites in Adelaide and two underdogs in Auckland.
You ever see that commercial with Kevin Hart where he talks about the overdog? That's not a thing. That just bothers me to no end. I just don't think I'm a huge Kevin Hart guy.
He kind of bothers
He
me.
just
I'm not
yells
really
a lot.
sure. He
Get too
reminds
old for
me.
that shit.
Oh, I can't think of the guy's name. Very annoying. But anyway, at some point he didn't really. I don't really have anything to say until I can figure out what his name is. But again,
We'll figure it out.
he's just annoying. I'm done with Kevin Hart. That's enough. Go away.
Fair enough. And I did forget. I feel bad. I'm going to go back. I did forget to mention Joel Murray, another terribly funny Murray, and another brother of the aforementioned Bill and Brian. He, of course, was the voice of Chester Cheetah for a decade or better, and played Freddie Rumsen, the drunk guy from Mad Men. Anyone remembers Freddie? He had a little.
He
He
peed his
pissed his
pants.
pants. He pissed his pants and was let go. He came back later in the series, though. I liked Freddie as a character. It was also a pretty good show. That leads us into
The
golf.
best show.
Those guys played some golf, right? They were salesmen. And I did want to mention I did play 3 outrights. I've not added a fourth yet. I'm looking for a better price in this, but I got Justin Thomas at a 12.5. I think you can still find 11.5, maybe a 12. Just basically, I rate him as high or higher than John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, who might withdraw, and Patrick Cantlay.
Get your
And
bets in.
his price was longer than any of those. So I ended up taking him as a bit of a price play. He is a guy who obviously is a very, very good golfer, can play with the best of them. And I don't think he does kind of have bad numbers on this sort of greens, but when he putts, he putts. Like, it just doesn't matter. So looking for him to play well, hopefully win this. I played Morikawa, another one too, where I thought the number was a little short. You get 26 or better on him, I would play that. And then Max Homa, who is not a 45-1 kind of golfer. He's an elite golfer with multiple wins, some of it in good fields. He should be 30-1. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off, and I just have too much love for Max after he made me some money last year. But Max Homa at 45-1, silliness, ridiculous. And he had a baby. You know what that does for your golf game? It's called the nappy bump. Like, you get hashtag perspective. So I'm
That's
looking
true.
for
You
him.
ride the positive endorphins.
Probably gonna win 4 or 5 times this year. So Max Homa 45-1 at Bet Chris right now. Anything better than that, I would bet. I will put all my stuff in the Bet Sports Golf Discord after I finish up with my matchups this afternoon.
Excellent. That sounds wonderful. I'm looking forward to go back and listen to that. I missed the golf show.
I do miss golf just in general. I'm going to watch quite a bit of this just because, like I mentioned this earlier in the week.
It's all great golfers.
It's a really good field and it's a beautiful course. It is in Hawaii, guys. So Mele Kalikimaka, late Mele Kalikimaka to you guys. And we'll catch you here tomorrow. No Thursday night football, though. We'll find something to bet on.